What kind of lunch boxes are you planning to make for the weekend's field day? I'm curious because I know it's an important event and you always make such great lunches. Oh, hey, Jenna. Well, the field day lunchbox, I haven't fully decided on the menu yet, actually. I'm still in the process of thinking it through. This year is extra special because it's Angelica's first field day since she entered elementary school. Both sides of the grandparents will be coming, so I want to make sure I prepare something that feels right for the occasion. So I'm trying to come up with a meal that's both delicious and a little more festive than usual. It's been a bit of a challenge trying to come up with ideas, but I'm sure I'll figure it out soon. Oh, wow, that sounds exciting. The first field day. Oh, I can totally see why you'd want to make something extra special. You said both sets of grandparents are coming too? That's a lot of people to consider, huh? So what do you think you'll include? I mean, you said it would be something decent, but I'm dying to know more. What kind of things are you planning? Yeah, it's a lot to do, but I'm really looking forward to it. As for the menu, I'm thinking I'll include some things that I know everyone will enjoy. For sure, I'm planning on fried chicken. It's a lunchbox classic in my family, right? I think it's always a safe bet, and it's something both kids and adults like. Then I'm thinking about including egg sandwiches, simple but tasty. Oh, and some apple slices. I want to make sure I have some fruits in there to balance out the savory items. Those things are pretty much confirmed at this point, but I'm still figuring out the other details. I'll probably add some veggies too, like little cherry tomatoes, maybe some broccoli. I want to have a good mix of flavors, and I think that'll make a lunchbox look even more appealing. Oh, that sounds so good! I love that you're including some veggies too. You know, it's so important to have a balance. But hey, wait, you mentioned fried chicken and sandwiches? Oh, that sounds amazing, but I was actually hoping you'd include sausages too. You know, the kind of sausages that are perfect for lunch boxes. I think they're such a great addition, don't you? Oh yeah, I completely agree. It's actually a great idea, and I think I'll definitely add them in. I'm glad you suggested it. I hadn't thought of it yet, but now that you mention it, it would make the lunchbox even better. Definitely adding sausages. Yes, I'm so happy that you're going to include sausages. I can already imagine how good that's going to look. But, speaking of the fried chicken, I have to let you know my kid doesn't really handle oil or flour well. You know how some kids have issues with greasy food? My kid's one of those. It's not a huge problem, but I figured I should let you know so you can plan accordingly. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I'll definitely keep that in mind, though. Since my kid likes other things like salmon and tuna, you could probably replace the fried chicken with more of those. You could make those options a little bigger. How does that sound? Wait, hold on a second. I never promised to make the lunchboxes for you. I only shared my menu because you asked. You're the one who asked about it, so I was just telling you what I was thinking. I wasn't agreeing to make a lunchbox for everyone, especially since I've got my own family to take care of. What? But you've been going on and on about what you're making. After hearing all of that, I thought for sure you'd be making the lunchboxes for us too. I mean, you were practically bragging about it. I just assumed you were offering to help. Isn't that what neighbors do? Help each other out? Bragging? I was just sharing my ideas. I never said I'd make the lunchboxes for anyone else. You can't just assume that I'm going to do everything for you just because I mentioned what I'm making for my family. This is my responsibility, and I'm doing it for my own family. Oh, come on. You know how tough it is to make lunchboxes, especially for a whole family. It's a huge job. You said yourself that you were going to make something decent, so why not help us out too? It's not like I'm asking for a whole new meal from scratch, just a little help. Look, I get it. It's hard. But I work just as much as you do. I work 4 days a week, and I'm working the day before the field day too. So I'm not in a position to just whip up a bunch of extra lunchboxes for everyone. But honestly, I think Liz would appreciate having a lunchbox that you made, don't you? I'm sure she'd love that more than anything. That's not the point. I'm just asking you to help out, and it's not fair to leave me to do everything on my own. It's just one more thing added to the pile of stress. I understand, but I can't make any promises. I'm preparing my own family's meal, and I think that should be enough. You'll figure it out, just like everyone else does. Well, you're really not helping. If you're not going to make it for us, then I guess I'll just have to figure it out on my own. Yes, you will. Good luck with that. Also, I'm blocking you until the day of the event then. What? Wait a minute, seriously? Diana, I'm telling you, no matter what you say, I won't make it. Jenna, this is so unfair. You promised you would make lunch for us too. Why didn't you make it? Because of you, we ended up with the convenience store lunch. When I got home, my mother-in-law and husband yelled at me so much. The whole situation was a disaster. I never promised that. I clearly said no. You did promise. No, I didn't. You blocked me without asking and forced the conversation to end, didn't you? Don't you feel bad for Liz? I thought you were at least a decent person, but now I see it's just all talk. You didn't even consider how I felt. You just went ahead and did whatever you wanted, didn't you? Aren't you just trying to get your way by using your child as a shield? You're trying to guilt-trip me into doing what you want by playing the mother card. As a mother, don't you think that's a bit much? Is that really how you want to raise Liz, by manipulating people to do what you want? Shut up! By the way, Diana, didn't you try to take credit for the lunch I made? Don't even pretend you didn't. What? What are you talking about? I heard from a mom who used to be at the same kindergarten as Liz that you did the same thing at the kindergarten sports day. Don't try to act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Huh? What does that have to do with anything? Apparently, it was a success back then, but the families who were affected had to put the lunch in a big container and then serve it into smaller plates to eat. They were trying to share the lunch, but you took that big container, loudly proclaimed, "I made lunch for someone's family," and showed off to everyone. You acted like you were the one hosting the meal, eating it without any hesitation. You didn't even leave any for anyone else. How is that acceptable? Huh? No, that's not true. You've got it all wrong. But this time, contrary to what you expected, I prepared individual lunch boxes for everyone, and they were separated from the start. I even gave them out to everyone before lunchtime. There was no opportunity for anyone to take the lunch from someone else. And naturally, there was only lunch for my family. Thanks to that, your lunch-stealing tactic didn't work this time. What? For a field day lunch, you're supposed to have a big container of lunch boxes, right? To divide it up into individual portions from the start is just crazy. Who even thinks of doing that? You have completely lost it. My husband's family always did it like that, so I just followed their way. It's not a big deal. That's called being a slave to your mother-in-law. It's foolish to just obey her even though she's your enemy. Why would you let someone control you like that? Don't you have a mind of your own? My mother-in-law also had her lunch stolen during her child's kindergarten field day, and the next year she almost had it happen again. So after thinking it through, she came up with a way to protect herself, and I just copied that method. It wasn't my idea, but it was the right choice. Huh? What are you talking about? Hearing all this, don't you remember anything? Does any of this sound familiar? What are you talking about? What does my mother-in-law have to do with anything? My mother-in-law said that she remembered your face when she saw you at the field day. She recalled the incident where the lunch was stolen, and apparently it was all your fault. She said you're just like your mother. Is that really so surprising? What? How could you possibly know that? Apparently you look just like your mom when she was younger, not just in appearance, but even the way you speak. Your mannerisms, everything about you, it's all the same. Isn't that a pretty harsh judgment based on just that? You can't judge someone just by their looks or the way they talk. Maybe it's just someone who happens to look like her, right? Then, do you remember a boy named Sam? Huh? Who? If your mother-in-law was a target for lunch stealing, then her child must be my husband, Sam. How do you not see that? Wait, what are you saying? My husband still clearly remembers what happened. He was really looking forward to eating the sausages, but ended up having them all taken by you. When he cried and asked for them back, you just laughed and ate them all. Doesn't that make you feel even a little bit guilty? That little brat was your husband? Seriously? Are you really saying this to me? My husband was horrified by how bold you and your mother were. He felt a chill even as a child. He's never forgotten that moment, and neither is my mother-in-law. And you're telling me this is the first you've heard of it? This is so old. Why are you bringing this up now? That was years ago. The people who were affected usually remember it very well. You don't just get to brush it off like it never happened. By the way, don't you feel embarrassed about your mother and daughter both making these lunch-stealing claims for generations? Don't you feel even a little ashamed of it? What? I don't care about my mom's story. This is about you not making lunch, and now look what happened. You've ruined everything. I was known as Diana, who loves to cook, until now, and now it's all destroyed. You've made a fool of me in front of everyone. Well, it seems like all the other moms already knew about it. What do you mean by that? They knew about what happened with your mom, and they also knew about what you did at the kindergarten field day. How could you not have known this? What? So even if you had stolen my lunch this time and claimed it as your own, it wouldn't have impressed anyone. The other moms would have already figured it out, so your "I'm a capable mom" act wouldn't have worked. They would have seen right through it. Wait, no! Actually, the rumors would have gotten worse, and in the end, it would have been better for you to learn this lesson, even if it was a bit painful. At least now, you have no choice but to face the truth. You're lying, right? This can't be true. Well, now that your kid's in elementary school, it's time to face the reality. Don't think you can keep pulling these stunts forever. No way, this can't be true. I've had enough of you. I'm blocking you now. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Wait, are you seriously blocking me? This is how you solve everything? What happened to all that talk about fairness and honesty? I can't believe you're doing this. Jenna? Jenna! Diana was what you might call a terrible cook wife. She was fully aware of her cooking skills, or rather, her lack of them. In fact, she tried to hide it as much as possible, particularly from her husband. Diana did not want to disappoint him, and certainly she didn't want to reveal the extent of her culinary shortcomings. So she devised a clever but dishonest solution. She would buy pre-made side dishes from stores, carefully arrange them on the dinner table, and present them as though she had cooked them herself. It was her little secret, one that she believed would keep her marriage intact and prevent her husband from knowing the truth. To the outside world, everything appeared normal. The couple had been married for 7 years, and for most of that time, her husband, who was none the wiser, believed that his wife was an ordinary homemaker. She would prepare meals for him, and he would sit down and eat them, never suspecting that they weren't the product of her own efforts. The facade worked well for a time, and Diana felt that she had found the perfect solution to her cooking dilemma. Yet, despite her best efforts, the truth eventually came to light. It was not her husband who discovered her secret at first, rather, it was Diana herself who, in a moment of reflection, realized that she had been living a lie. After all, 7 years is a long time, and no matter how carefully one tries to hide something, eventually the truth has a way of surfacing. Her husband, who had never suspected anything, was the first to notice something was amiss. He began reflecting on the years that they had spent together, thinking back to various instances when the meals Diana served seemed perhaps a little too perfect, or too identical to store-bought dishes. The thought had crossed his mind occasionally, but he had never taken it seriously enough to confront her about it. Eventually, however, the truth became undeniable. Diana's husband, through his own observations and reflections, realized that his wife had been passing off pre-made meals as her own creations all these years. It was a shock to him, as he had never suspected Diana of hiding something like this. It wasn't that he disliked store-bought food, rather it was the deception that had bothered him. It was a betrayal, albeit a small one in the grand scheme of things, but it was enough to cause him to feel disappointed and hurt. At first, Diana tried to brush it off. She told her husband that it had been just a small mistake, or perhaps a moment of weakness. She assured him that it wasn't a big deal and that it wasn't something to dwell on. She even promised that things would change and they could work together to improve their cooking skills. In an attempt to restore harmony and fix the situation, Diana suggested that they both learn how to cook together. This seemed like a reasonable solution at the time. Her husband, wanting to save the relationship and move past the issue, agreed to the idea. They could take cooking classes, watch tutorials online, or experiment in the kitchen together. It would be an opportunity for them to bond and strengthen their relationship, and perhaps, over time, her husband's hurt feelings would subside. For a while, it seemed like the plan was working. Diana and her husband began cooking together, and it was clear that they both had a lot to learn. It wasn't always easy, and there were definitely some awkward moments in the kitchen as they fumbled their way through recipes. But Diana felt a sense of relief that at least her husband wasn't harboring any ill feelings towards her anymore. They were in this together, learning and growing as a couple. However, it wasn't long before Diana fell back into her old habits. Cooking together had not provided the long-term solution she had hoped for. The stress of managing the household, the pressure of cooking every day, and her own reluctance to embrace the kitchen led her to make the decision that would eventually unravel everything she had worked so hard to hide. A month later, Diana was caught once again. This time, she had gone even further than simply buying store-bought side dishes. Diana had managed to steal her younger sister-in-law's cooking and claimed it as her own. She presented a meal that was clearly not of her own making, passing it off as her own creation once more. Her husband was understandably upset. Not only had she lied again, but she had taken it to an entirely new level. The fact that she had stolen her sister-in-law's cooking was seen as a betrayal within the family, especially since it had gone beyond the boundaries of just her marriage. It was an act of dishonesty that involved more than just her relationship with her husband. It affected the entire family dynamic. This incident was the final straw for Diana's husband. He had tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but now it seemed clear that her actions were deliberate and calculated. The betrayal had escalated from a simple lie to something far more damaging. Her husband felt deeply hurt and disappointed, and he struggled to understand why Diana had chosen to continue with the deception despite everything they had been through. As the situation unraveled, the discussion quickly turned to accusations. The family began to gossip about Diana's behavior, and some members even referred to her actions as a form of bullying toward her younger sister-in-law. Diana's behavior toward her sister-in-law, who had been innocent in all of this, was seen as an attempt to belittle her or steal the spotlight, especially in the context of family gatherings where everyone was expected to contribute in some way. It wasn't long before Diana's husband made the difficult decision to divorce her. The trust that had been broken could not be repaired, and the emotional toll of the lies and deceit was too much for him to bear. The marriage had been built on a foundation of dishonesty, and that foundation had crumbled under the weight of repeated betrayals. After the divorce, Diana's husband moved on with his life, and Diana was left to face the consequences of her actions. She realized too late that the secrets she had kept and the lies she had told had cost her more than just her marriage. Her relationships with her family were strained, and her reputation was tarnished. Liz emerged as the true beneficiary of the situation. She moved in with her father's family and began living a life that was free from the tension and lies that had plagued Diana's marriage. Liz was able to focus on her own well-being, and more importantly, she was surrounded by the love and support of her husband's family. Growing up in a home where she was cared for and nourished by her grandmother's homemade meals, Liz thrived. The warmth and comfort of her new life contrasted sharply with the coldness that she had to endure with her mother, Diana. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.